This is the Bonus Section Podcast, episode number 72. Leave everybody better than you found them. Are you the type of person that knows you were meant for something greater in this lifetime and that somewhere inside of you, there's just this bigger version of yourself trying to break through? But in spite of all your self-development attempts, you just can't seem to find the way up there. Well, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Bonus Section and the host of this podcast, and a person just like you trying to learn how to live the most fulfilling life possible. Now, to help you take immediate action to get moving in a better direction, we take all the notes from each episode, and for a short period of time, we put them up at freethinkingtools.com. You can get some notes there to sit down, think, go to your favorite spot, and think about your life, the direction, your plans. Just give it some time. Right? That's instead of moving through life or getting too depressed about life, whatever it might be, just sit down and spend some time, okay? So in this episode, I want to cover leave everyone better than you found them. This is a principle that I don't really know where the first time I was able to hear that or articulate that. I've always had, since I was relatively young, I would say probably just before college age, I had this sense of being a person for others. It was certainly in college where I learned really that principle, and I really like it. Because if you're trying to define yourself in some specific particular way, in a simple way, to be a person for others is the greatest calling in life as far as I'm concerned. So everything that I do, if there's a guiding principle for me and trying to live that most self-fulfilling life possible, as I say in the intro, that's it for me. It's that simple. Because what it does is it gives me a cornerstone. I don't worry about the context first. I worry about the cornerstone. Because if you can live that cornerstone authentically all the time, then context will always change. Meaning what? What does context mean? Well, it might mean, how do I treat my friends? How do I treat strangers? How do I teach and train my kids? How about business associates? How about clients? You see, those are all contexts that change. And as long as I say, whether it's a personal or a business strategy, whatever it might be, am I leaving everybody better than I found them? So let's get into the bullet points here that I wanted to share with you. The first point of all of this is it's just the right thing to do, and it feels great. I mean, let that sink in for a second. How do you feel when you meet somebody? Now, again, I'm going to leave all my friendly sociopaths and psychopaths out of this discussion because they might not even have the capacity to understand what is he talking about, right? Because that's true. There are these certain diagnoses where you can't feel that great about it. You really don't have the capacity to empathize, to feel. What would it be like if that person treated me like this? That whole sense of golden rule, right? Treat people the way you want them to treat you. And really, if you have the capacity to feel, then it is the right thing to do moralistically. It's a higher calling, and you know that because there's typically a chemical change in your brain and your body that makes you feel good when you do it. So in other words, I can remember my wife's grandfather. He would come to my in-laws' house, and this guy, big, huge steel hands, Tony. And Tony would come to the house in these big, huge steel mill, molded hands. That's what he did for a living. These guys are real men, right? Talk about real men. Worked in a steel mill, and he would come to my father-in-law, mother-in-law's house, and he would go to work as if he hadn't even left work. He would just go to work. But what I always noticed about him is that when he came, he would always leave the tools, the garage, the stacks of wood, whatever it was, he left everything better than he found it. I'm not talking about just doing the project, but he would actually leave everything more organized and cleaner than it had been to begin with. And that was just some old school mentality of how to behave. It was such a high calling. And I remember somebody also borrowing our lawnmower once upon a time. And it came back so amazingly clean. Not only did they borrow the lawnmower, but they flipped it up on its side and they made it immaculate underneath. They cleaned everything. And this thing came back in almost like new condition. And these were just little things that would build upon me. And I would observe those things and say, man, what an amazingly powerful thing to do. And well, I'll get into this. I was just about to jump the gun here and tell you something else, but it really was just great. And the second point here is that when you do that, when those people did that, it served as the foundation for fabulous relationships that always seemed to give back. So when Tony would go and do those things, what do you think would happen for Tony at the end of the day? There would be a banquet cooked for Tony. I mean, the coffee would be ready to go in the morning the way Tony liked it. And Tony liked to drink his coffee out of a big bowl. It was ready. It was hot. It was in the bowl. Because this law of reciprocity that Tony kicked in just by showing up. I mean, you talk about a repetitive, positive behavior pattern. When he would show up, everything would click into this major law of reciprocity rhythm. There was just this giving, and everybody would seem to be having a better time. So not only, I'm sure, was Tony feeling great about being productive and leaving this whole house and these people in a better place, it was coming back to him. And now those people were able to reciprocate, and my in-laws, and of course his wife was part of it, but me, I wanted to do stuff for the guy. So I was part of the cooking crew. I would make sure that I would sit, because I'm the chef, right? And I know that I can't even bang a nail straight. So I know my pay level, right? So I went to the kitchen and I could cook the lights out. So I would cook. I would want to give to this guy. And that in turn would make me feel great. So here's all this giving, all stimulated by one man's actions to leave all of these people better than that he found them, right? Now, let me go to the second. I'm going to take a little bit of a hard right turn into business. This is a principle that when you treat family like that or friends like that, sure, that seems obvious. And of course, you're going to have to overcome all those, well, they don't do anything for me. Okay, hang on. I'm going to go to business and I'm going to end with personal, okay? This is also really smart business, it turns out. So, in other words, I took this principle into my real estate agency business. And I always realized that and I'm also a coach in the real estate agent business, so I realized that we always seemed to believe that we were giving. We believed that we were leaving everybody better off than we found them because we were telling them how much we knew and how great that was for them to know. And in the strangest way, that kind of giving is taking, or bludgeoning, or muscling. There's a lot of ways to say it. So we become very good and very skilled at something, but the strangest thing is we become also simultaneously very insecure because it's almost like this defensive business position where we're trying to oversell somebody on how great what we have to offer is. And we genuinely mean it. A lot of us, we mean it. We want to serve. We got in the real estate business, for example, to serve. So it's one of those things where it's like you genuinely feel like you're giving, but you're not really. Because you're not necessarily leaving the people that you're pontificating at, that you're dictating to, that you're lecturing to. You're not leaving them necessarily better than you found them. Let that sink in for a second. See, I remember when I would go to somebody's house to explain to them, why me? Because you do have to do that. People want to know, why should I hire you above and beyond all other options, including doing nothing at all? So I would always sell them about resume. And that would be the default. Well, look I've done a lot of this. And then all of a sudden, one day, when I took a lot of time to start thinking strategically, something just didn't feel congruent. Here we go with that cornerstone. Something didn't feel congruent with being a person for others. Just didn't feel right. Because if you're being a person for others in the context of business, you really shouldn't be, I know it's going to sound weird, and you're going to have to hang in there with me, you really shouldn't be expecting anything in return. Let that sink in. So how do you deal with that? Especially in the service business. Well, I had always heard, congruent with being a person for others, give away your best stuff for free. your best information, your best knowledge, however you can manufacture that in the sales business. And in software, you see it everywhere in the modern internet age. A lot of people give away their best software at the entry level for free. I can think of one that I use and have used for years, and I would recommend it at the bonus section. It's mind mapping software by Xmind. Xmind.net is one of the greatest resources that I ever found on the internet. And I used their free software. And then I upgraded it later because I wanted more sophistication. But they've left me far better than they found me. Far better. I mean, far better. So this isn't a new principle. And quite frankly, in marketing and in business for years, there was always give the sample away. Give something away for free that really was some of your best stuff. And then that would trigger that law of reciprocity, like in the example that I just gave of Tony going and taking care of my in-laws and all their projects and leaving all their tools and everything better off. Well, if you go out and you serve your client and you give them some of your best what to do information for free, they need you to help them with the how to do it. Or they want more of your paid for product because it takes them deeper into the process, and that's what they want. So it's really smart business, all this stuff, to leave everybody better than you found them. And that is the last point here, and we'll call it the bonus section of the bonus section podcast. I'm going to emphasize it, and I just said it. You must expect nothing in return, and then you will become the greatest version of yourself. So think about this. The topic here today, leave everybody better than you found them. Expect nothing in return, and that's how you become the best version of yourself. How do I know this? Because in business, it is uncanny in a short period of time that once I made that decision, I began to productize my best what to do knowledge. I do it right here on the bonus section. As a coach of real estate agents for a long time, as the coach to 5 children, as a coach to a lot of people who come to me for help, I always give away my best stuff for free. And the question is, who did I become once I started to do that? Well, I became a much bigger version. People look at me and they say, how do you do so much in so little time that we all have? I said, it's efficiencies. By thinking about how to take care of people, you condense what you know. It becomes the crux. Really, your expertise can really be chunked up to a 1-page infographic, a short little information product, maybe a little podcast each week. You can just do so much more with time when you think like this. And so when you can do a lot more with time, you become more productive. You help more people. And now you become more self-fulfilled in achieving, in my case, becoming a person for others and more others and more others. So my businesses are proliferating. I'm now working on reaching more people through the Realty Classroom podcast from a coaching perspective. I'm doing more with the Griffin, which is my agency, which is now licensed in 5 states. I'm doing more with this bonus section. We're going to make this fun and reach more people. We're working on YouTube channels that are rebranded and ready to go and will help more people. So you see what I mean? You're just becoming a way bigger version of yourself. Let me go back and summarize. Very passionate about this subject because at the core of who I am is just I'm endeavoring to run the race of life and be a person for others. So that helped me learn, and I want you to learn, that you should leave everybody better than you found them. And you do that by first recognizing that when you do that, point number 1, it's the right thing to do, moralistically. And it feels great when you do something right. The chemicals get going, right? The positive stuff. 2, it's the foundation for fabulous relationships that always seem to give back. Leave somebody better than you found them. Those relationships trigger the law of reciprocity and just seem to get more back than you ever would have by taking. 3, it's also really smart business. The foundation of a really smart business tries to leave people better than they found them, from software to service to other types of product, whatever it might be. And lastly, the bonus section today in the bonus section podcast is when you expect nothing in return, you'll also become the greater version of yourself. It's amazing how much more you can do on the back and the wings of this attitude. Let me summarize it this way. When you look back over your life, I'm certain that you'll remember the times that you were really there for people. The highest peaks in life always seem to be when we go out of our way to truly serve others without expecting anything in return. If that mantra scares you into believing that you'll go broke living like that, not true. I'll assure you that extremely successful people understand that this authentic approach to helping solve problems for other people and as many other people as you can, and leaving them better than they found them, is not only the ultimate personal standard, but also a supreme business standard. Okay, remember, you can take immediate action to get started and moving in a better direction towards your goals, because we take all the notes from each episode and we post them for a free period of time at freethinkingtools.com, and we give you instant access. Also, don't forget you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And we also post our content on YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe to the bonus section channel. We'd also appreciate it if you would join our mission of becoming people for others and share our content with other people just like you, so that they get the help that they need as well. But remember this, I sign off the same way every time. Nobody is coming for you. Nobody. So go get to work on yourself and a better plan for your goals, and we'll see you in the next episode to help you do just that. Thanks again.